Hello, everyone. I'm Lonnie.
I'm Amberlicious.
We are Untitled Nerd Network. Where this is number two in a series of I don't know how many. Um, I really have no clue. Probably like 100. Um, Sopranos review. Sopranos, the
Mhm.
show that ushered in the golden age of television, or the modern golden,
I was just say the modern.
whatever.
That's not the golden age. We talked
It's
about that.
it says glorious pioneer of today's TV golden age. Today's golden age.
Today's.
Yeah. Okay. I was just quoting the box. This episode's called 46 Long. This episode's called 46 Long. And that is a reference to a suit we read. I knew that, but I didn't put two and two together.
Well, I was like, it sounded familiar, so I knew it had to reference something.
Yeah.
And then I Googled it.
And I had forgotten about that part because what had happened is we watched the episode. I didn't have enough time to do a review before I went to work. Then I went and worked a 5-hour shift. Came home and now we're doing the review. So I've had a little gap there that I had to kind of go back and read the Wikipedia article just to make sure I didn't forget any key points or anything. But got a couple of things. Tony's mom, we finally figure out and see that she's not going to be able to live by herself.
Right.
Was
I think, personally, I think she has dementia.
oh
She's
yeah,
like showing the signs.
well this he got her like some help to begin with, and it happened off camera, but you can kind of tell her mom or his mom very likely said some very nasty racial
Racist
stuff.
things to her, yeah.
Yeah, to their her black housekeeper, and like they never even said what it was, but
Oh, well, she blatantly said, you never know what the blacks are going to take offense to these days.
yeah,
So that's what she said to Tony
they
and his wife.
they very much yeah, just alluded to that, like yep.
Yeah, it's like, well,
Um,
this is what happened, but we're not going to show you exactly.
I wonder why. Like, you think maybe the woman who played her, like, maybe you think maybe that was originally written into the script that she?
No.
You don't. Oh, okay.
No.
I was having
I
like.
think even then HBO was like,
Yeah.
we're not going to act that out for real,
Okay. They kind of leave it up to your imagination. That way, there's really no concrete anything.
Yep.
But yeah, she ends up leaving some food on the stove. It catches fire. And your reaction to that, because she immediately went over to the sink and started
Oh,
filling.
yes. He's like, no, mom, that's going to make it worse. Don't do it. She's throwing water on a grease fire. You obviously don't
Yeah, and
do
it was
that.
just woof. And so they ended up like putting her in the retirement community, and she's just staring daggers into that poor woman.
Yeah, she wasn't happy about it, but I mean, what do you do?
And so that kind of segues into the other one. Where,
Well, this is probably the first time in Tony's life he's ever stood up to his mother.
Yeah.
Because he was blatantly just like, no, I'm not going to change my mind. This is what's going to happen.
Well, she also, hit her friend in the car.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about that little detail.
Yeah.
All this happened within just a few days of each other, I'm assuming,
And that's another reason, like I say, that probably has dementia, because she's just forgetting little stuff like that.
Yeah.
Stuff that she's done for years, and then all of a sudden she doesn't know.
Yeah.
You know.
That while they were in the retirement community office filling out all the paperwork, Tony got calls from his Uncle Junior, and he decided not to take them. But another part of this episode was Christopher, who is Tony's nephew, and what's the guy's Brendan, yes, who is like a meth addict who's running around with Christopher, doing all the stuff with him, and they end up knocking over one of Junior's trucks.
Yeah, they were like trying to like impress Tony, I guess, per se.
Yeah.
And it backfired and belonged. Yeah, his uncle or whatever.
But then Tony makes him pay restitution to Junior, and so
He basically fixes everything.
yes.
And then Brendan's like, "Oh no, let's do this again." And
First time was DVD players. The second time was suits.
Suits.
A nice Italian suits.
and then on top of them doing it again, not only, did they go against the word, but they fucked up and the driver got shot.
I think the only thing that saved Christopher was the fact that he didn't go on the hit.
Yep.
Otherwise, I think they would have been burying him at the end of the episode.
Probably, yeah. It'd been more than just the driver on the deceased list on Wikipedia.
Yeah, because they make a big difference between doing it and standing by while somebody else does it. That's a major difference. Yeah, the driver ended up getting shot, and so they go back with the suits, and Tony and all his guys are like, take these suits back, but we're gonna keep these. And
Yeah,
these
they
and
picked
these.
them out a few.
Yeah. So that was funny. Maybe I'm just like not with the culture, but the part where Seal, the dude, who's played by the guy who was in the band, he's like one of my favorite characters for some weird reason. I can't figure it out. But the whole thing where he's like, they say it's Al Pacino, I think, where he was like, whenever I thought I was out, they pulled me back in, that kind of thing. Where is that from? What is that? Is it the God? It's not the Godfather.
It's the Godfather. It said it in the reference thing.
Freaking weird, because
I think it's part 2.
that might be why I've seen part 1 a million times.
Right here.
Part 2 is
Part 3.
Oh, that's why I've only
Yes.
seen part 3 like one time.
Silvio makes several impressions of Michael
Corleone.
in The Godfather Part 3. And then all the cultural references. It's really neat.
See, I never did get that, but yeah, I thought it was kind of funny because I don't know, I like him. Like I think he's a pretty cool character. Probably like my favorite. I mean, God, I have like my 3 favorites, and I'm sure like it's completely unfair to pick 3 characters, but like Tony, Seal, and Polly are like my 3 favorites in like the whole show, and I'm just like Polly because I imagine like Polly the way he is like superstitious and like every weird little coincidence or whatever freaks him out and stuff like that.
He's very old school.
Yeah, like I imagine that's what I'm gonna be when I'm like 60 or 70.
Wow.
It'll
take you that long to get super.
There's a episode later on, like in like a season or 2, where something funny happens, and he spends like the rest of the series freaked out, thinking about it. And but yeah, this is pretty cool. I'm trying to make sure I didn't like forget anything else.
The teacher's car getting stolen.
Yes, that was funny because
that was like the funny subplot to everything that was going on, because they couldn't find it. They couldn't find it, and then it was stripped, and finally it was like, fuck it. They just basically put his plate on another Saturn, different color.
Yeah, different color,
brand
different
new.
keys.
Yeah.
And he was like, weird. There was blood on it.
Yes, there was blood on it. That was fucking crazy. Looking at his finger.
It was. And, oh yeah, the whole thing with Tony's feelings about his mom and the therapist, Melfi, Dr. Melfi, she just, like, basically calls him out.
Straight shooter.
Yeah. She's like, hey, you can love your mother, but it is possible to be just totally enraged with her. And he was not a fan of hearing that.
Yeah, he did not want to hear that he hated his mother or that he was angry about anything she'd ever done. And then his wife mentions in the first episode, well, did you tell him about your dad? And so I don't know if it's the fact of how he died or...
I'd have to...
So
we'll have to rewatch it.
I know, we'll learn that as we watch it, I'm sure. But like...
HBO, I don't know if it's delayed because of COVID or maybe if it's already out and I just don't know about it. But they have a Sopranos prequel. Got it. they have a Sopranos prequel movie coming out. It's already been cast. I'm pretty sure it's already been shot too. And last I heard, it was going to deal with Tony's dad and a lot of stuff, back in the day. There's a lot of big mob events that happened back when that they reference here. This was the big war that happened in, 1971 or some crap. And, that they're going to, be showing that. That's going to be kind of cool. But yeah, the whole, the little kind of subplot in the strip club, Bada Bing, where the guy's having a hard time operating the phone, and it finally just escalates and escalates and escalates until the very end. He says something similar to what Tony's mom had said before.
Yeah.
And he just loses it.
But Tony had already told him, my mom can't operate a phone either.
Yeah.
She's 70. What's your excuse?
Yeah.
But that was also after his therapist was like, well, you hate your mother.
His stress level in this episode builds and builds and builds and builds, and finally it's like cracking the ceiling, and then he just unleashes on that dude. And
He does.
Like, wow.
He unleashed his hatred for his mother onto that man because it reminded him.
And you notice like the old westerns, like two people like get into a fight and somebody ends up dead, and then as soon as the person dies and the fight's over, everything just goes back to normal, out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole place is stopped watching this, and as soon as it's over, like the music comes back on and everybody just goes back like nothing happened.
Yeah.
That's what happened in Bada Bing. Because, all the strippers, they stop and they're just watching Tony beat the shit out of this guy. And when he walks out, everybody's just like, doing that.
The strippers, when his mom caught kitchen on fire. And
yes.
And they were like, is your mom okay?
Because that's what would really happen.
They were so concerned. Yes, that's exactly what would really happen in real life.
And that's another... That actually kind of made a kind of under the radar point that like strippers, sex workers like that, like they may be up there to be eye candy, but there's a human side to them.
Yeah, it did.
That is exactly what that did.
And I will say, like, I think that's like why the only scene we saw them with clothes on is because they actually had a close up with the camera and they were talking.
You know what? That's a dang good point. They had speaking roles.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting over the course of the series to see if speaking role nude stripper, like if that exists.
Yeah.
That'll be neat. I never even thought about that.
Watch for.
Heck yeah. Okay.
Look at me.
That's that's an interesting point. That
I was pondering on that earlier. I was like, they were naked the whole time until that scene.
I almost feel like maybe they get...
Because you pointed out, hey, they got clothes on.
Yeah.
And they spoke right after that. And then we didn't see them with clothes again.
So maybe, and this might be something that people can maybe confirm or whatever, I'm sure just a little bit of research. But I wonder if they use like maybe real porn stars or real strippers for the stripping scenes, and then actors for the speaking roles, and they keep their clothes on as a...
No, I would hope not. But I mean,
that would be interesting to know, though.
I mean, it's a good question. They don't let. I mean, a lot of able-bodied people play disabled parts. Parts. So
it'll be interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up. And we may have an answer for you next episode. What do you give this episode? What do you give 46 Long?
I'm gonna give it an 8 too.
Ooh.
It was really good, but like, I just feel like there's more coming.
Okay. So. I believe it or not, this one gets a 10. This was a good, perfect episode. Nothing. There wasn't like a knock it out of the park.
Like I thought about giving it a 9, but I definitely wasn't giving it a 10. But
I am because this, in my opinion, is a good, strong, just all around perfect episode. I didn't really have any complaints about it at all, but it didn't have that groundbreaking big event or big death or big introduction or anything, that really like no major impactful anything besides Tony's mom going into the home, but that wasn't like a exciting. It was
No,
just a plot step.
it was furthering his character,
Yeah.
their
So
relationship.
yeah. So I mean, if this is, yeah, this was just a really good story. I liked it. You know, I think you're going to be seeing a lot of nines, tens, and the occasional 11 is going to be a majority of where I rate these episodes. I think there's going to be maybe probably less than half a dozen seven and unders in the whole group, probably. We'll see. Who knows? I mean, there may be some slow ones that I forgot, but yeah. So I give it a 10. You give it an 8, and woo, we
Yeah,
will.
let's wrap.
Yeah, I don't know what our schedule's looking like when I'm going to post these. Probably just whenever I don't stream. So look for our next video sometime in the next few days. I'm Lonnie.
I'm Amberlicious.
We are Untitled Nerd Network, and we will see y'all next time.